So this is why they nerfed the Master E.
Just for the thrill of it, nothing counterfeit with you. Just the thrill of it. Just for the thrill of it, nothing counterfeit with
Yo guys, welcome back to another Dave Talk. This is your guy AssassinDave. We got a very important news I think is drastically underlooked. It's basically talking about how the developers are actually balancing the champions or the game overall. But it's not getting that much attention on Twitter or some social medias, so I want to make a video talking about specifically the mindset going behind the developers for League of Legends Wild Rift team, how they actually do the balances, and some of my recommendations as a very committed senior Wild Rift player. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. And if you like the video, guys, make sure to drop the like, subscribe, and turn that bell on to all notification bells so you can join the coolest, greatest, the baddest channel in the world of League of Legends Wild Rift. And it will really help us out. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Developers Balance Framework Update by Jonathan Chao. And for those who don't know Jonathan Chao, he's a person who's managing all the gameplay stuff on Wild Rift. You can follow his Twitter. I'll link his Twitter in the description so everybody can go there and then ask him questions if he replies. Let's come back to the article. To recap, the goal of the Balance team is to make Wild Rift the most balanced mobile MOBA game. And we really want to make sure all of our champions are viable and to make sure no champion or strategy dominates the game. What we decide to change is dependent on the specifics. They want to make sure all champions are viable, are playable in the game. Now, what do you mean by viable? Like, are all the champions pickable in high elo, low elo, right? Or just low elo for the entry-level players? I think those are really good questions. Now let's continue. A few months back, we developed a balance framework based on the data and feedbacks we have gathered from the regional alpha, closed beta, and open beta. The framework acts as a guideline to help us determine what champions we should tune, but keep in mind that framework is not a hard set of rules that we must follow, as there are a ton of edge cases. The main statistic we look at for champion balance is champion win rates. Once we identify imbalances, we then use various other data to then help us conduct further analysis, such as average damage dealt per game. Currently, our framework examines how champion performs in different MMRs, as well as specifically in the 5 meta positions. When the article mentioned MMRs, it's talking about a matchmaking rating that is a system that works behind the scene to put matches together. You can't find this MMR in the game yet. I don't know whether Riot want to actually put this as a public information in the game. To find out more about MMR, I'll link an article published by Riot in the Wild Rift Real Talk March 2021. So you can read more about the MMR system. But basically, low MMR means low entry-level players, new players, and high MMR usually means veteran players and highly skilled players, the high-end players. Sometimes you can play a lot of games, but if your skill is just not there, you can still have a pretty low MMR. So then the developers actually rated all those players with MMR and then put them into 3 main categories for the consideration of this article: average, skilled, and elite. Average is 0 to 85% percentile of the MMR players. And skilled is 85 to 99% percentile. Elite is 99 to 100%. Basically the top 1% of the entire player pool in this region rated by the MMR system. Now let's take a look at this chart. So basically, if a champion is considered overpowered, it will be nerfed. If a champion is considered underpowered, it probably be buffed, right? And what is considered overpowered then? It says if any of this criteria is true. Basically, for the average players, if it's over 54% win rate, for the skill players, if it's over 53% win rate, and for the elite players, if it's over 52% win rate, and it has a bigger than 5% pick rate, then they will probably nerf it. Or if a champion is performing over 54% win rate among the elite players, they will also probably nerf it. Now remember, all those criteria are either or, so they don't have to satisfy everything before they nerf a champion. And developer actually gives some examples. Let's say if Dr. Mondo is at a 53% at elite MMR, but has a pick rate of merely 1%, we'll probably not nerf him because it's not considered overpowered simply because it's not picked enough, you know? Or if a Master E is at 56% at average MMR, but lower than 50% at skilled or elite MMR, we will probably nerf him. Basically, developer is saying if Master E has a really good win rate among the low tier players, but the high skill players never pick it. If you watch my stream or some other challenger player stream, you probably notice Master E is never picked, right? If you pick the champ, it's considered a troll. This champ pick rate among the elite players or the 1 percentile is really, really low because in high elo, players know how to punish the champion really well in the jungle. Even then, if Master E performs really well in a low elo, the developers will consider nerfing this champ. This is where I think it's kinda weird. Let's just continue to use Master E as an example for the sake of this argument. Master E is a champion that is rated like tier D or lower because the champion is so easily punished. He has no qual control. He requires a lot of farm, a lot of items in order to be successful. Now, think about the reason why Master E is having a lot of success in low elo. In fact, when my viewers ask me, Dave, I am a gold ranked player. I want to, play a champion just to win. I'm hard stuck. I'm a jungler. What do you recommend? I will say, go ahead and play Master E. Abuse that champ. You know why? Because in low elo, majority of the players are new, and then they don't know how to abuse enemies' weaknesses or how to enhance their own strength. So when enemy pick Master E, they simply don't invade, they simply don't do anything, and Master E start taking dragons, start taking farm. It's really easy for him to scale. But this will not happen once you get to higher and higher elo. Just because low elo players having success with the champ doesn't make this champ any better. It's still a really, really low tier champ. And all the competitive players are telling you that by showing you this champ is not picked in high elo at all. And if you pick it, it has a really low win rate. But somehow, just because the low elo players are having success with this champ, developer decide to nerf him. I mean, does that make any sense with you guys? What do you think about that? I certainly think that instead of nerfing this champ, the developers should think about other ways to actually educate the players about this champ, right? About other champions. For example, proactively working with productive content creators to make high quality guides and promote them in the game. Like have a section in the game to actually educate the players to say, hey, this is why Master E is not picked in high elo. This is how to counter him and blah, blah, blah. But let's continue to the underpowered criteria. So as shown in this chart, if all 3 criteria are true, then a champion will be considered underpowered. What are the 3 criteria? For average players, for average MMR, less than 48% win rate. For skill players, less than 48% win rate. And for elite players, it has to be less than 46% win rate or less than 0.5% pick rate. Now, the example the developer given is if Lee Sin is at 47% at all MMR and has a 3% pick rate in elite MMR, we probably will not buff him. The reason why is high skill cap champions like Lee Sin can be very punishing when they're strong, so we're comfortable leaving them under 50%. Another example is if Xayah is at 46% win rate at all MMR, we will probably buff her. Now you know why Xayah got a huge buff in the last patch, right? They finally explained it. Basically, Xayah got a really low win rate when the champion comes out. Another ban pick system that developer actually abide by is balancing around the win rates by position. You can look at the chart right here. Basically, they have another framework to judge a champion whether it's overpowered or underpowered. If it's overpowered, they will nerf it. If it's underpowered, they will buff the champ. And they also give another 2 examples. Let's say if Evelynn mid is at 54% win rate and has a 5% pick rate, we will probably nerf her mid lane power. If Jarvan 4 support is at 55% win rate but has a 0.01% pick rate, we will probably not nerf him. Now, everything here is good and all, and I actually happen to agree with most of this article or the framework that developer developed. I think is really, really good. But the challenge that I have with the system is just like the developer said, there are tons of edge cases. And a lot of time when a champion is having a lot of success, it might be some special nuances in the game that developer might not be aware of because they simply don't play the game enough because they're too busy working on the game. And this is no fault of the developers. So let's just use the Evelynn example that developer used here. Before patch 2.08, Evelynn was probably the meta's most popular champion at the time because it did buff her Q's range. It also buffed a lot of AP ratio for Evelynn. It was doing insane amount of damage. And we've seen a lot of Evelynn mid lane, a champion that is designed to go jungle. Hence the example the developer using here, right? If Evelynn mid is at 54% win rate and has a 5% pick rate, we'll probably nerf her mid lane power. Now, even though data reflect the big chunk of the problem, that is Evelynn, this champion is being abused, and why it's being abused, probably because it's overpowered. But what the developer didn't see was why this champion was being abused this much in the mid lane. Was merely because Evelynn's early game wave clear was too insane. No one even come close close to her wave clear. She can just shove the wave and then go to the enemy jungle and just invade your entire jungle with her teammate, or sometimes even do it alone. You know, Evelynn can do that because her early game wave clear was that insane. Now, let's take a look at exactly what the developer did. In the patch 2.0a, they nerfed AP ratio, some damage, which is fine, right? They increased the mana cost for the skill 1, which is also fine to reduce, you know, how often you can use the skill. And then they reduced the damage to minions, 100% all ranks to 35%, 40% all the way to 50% at level 4. This is the problem that I had with this change specifically, because Evelynn right now, the wave clear is just horrible, even at the highest level. But Evelynn at the time, at her peak when she was being abused, the main problem was only focused on her early wave clear. You know, her late game wave clear, I think should be maintained because this gives people more choices on what skill should I level up first. Right now, Evelynn mains in the top tier only max skill 3 first because, you know, your Q or skill 1 is nerfed that much. It can't clear wave, doesn't matter at level 4, doesn't matter at level 1, you just can't clear wave. Even in late game, it's really hard for Evelynn to shove a wave. That is also why Evelynn's pick rate dropped by a lot after this patch, you know, because people are like, oh crap, I simply can't play this champion anymore. Now we've seen Evelynn being played in the jungle a lot more because I've always been a really big fan of her, and I've said there's almost no way to counter invisibility in this game because there's no true side wards, right? So Evelynn can just roam anywhere she wants thanks to her passive. Still, what I would have recommended for the Evelynn changes, everything regarding AP ratio mana was fine, but the damage to minions, you can't be 100% at level 4. You know, basically change it to really, really low at level 1 so people didn't abuse the Evelynn early game, you know, wave clear power, right? But still give her the credit if you max this skill first. I think that makes a lot more sense instead of just nerfing it to 50% and less throughout all levels and make her completely useless in lane. Now you can only play Evelynn jungle, because her wave clear is just that bad. In fact, if you play Evelynn in this lane, your auto attack wave clear is much better, much faster than if you were just abusing skill 1. Now this ties to my recommendations for the balance changes. What makes sense to me personally is balance mainly based off high elo players or high MMR players. The reason why is, consider it this way, right? There's one player who played the game 10,000 times or 10,000 games overall, and there's another 10,000 players who only play the game one time. The 10,000 players who play the game one time will always be complaining that this champion's OP, that champion's OP, because they don't know how to counter them. And little did they know there are 1,000 other champions in the game that can actually counter them, or 1,000 other ways that can counter the champ. They simply don't know. But the one guy who played 10,000 games knows everything, the in and out of the game. Certainly, this person will have a lot more accurate information to provide in terms of balance in the game. But what about the low elo players then, Dave? Well, like I said, I think this mainly comes into education, right? Developers should work with content creators to provide more informative guides to the community and then educate the players, this is how to counter this champion, and so on and so forth. Now, regarding working with like high elo players, more specifically, I think this will actually save the developer a lot of money, right? Instead of spending a lot of money trying to hire really, really good game balance managers, what they could do is actually just form a coalition of the high elo players from all regions, right? From EU, NA, SCA, China, whatever. From all these regions, and then have a little chat group, you know, discussion group, and then give them fair amount of compensation and some in-game currencies in exchange of their opinions or their feedbacks on in-game balances. And then combine these suggestions, inputs with the data and see what makes sense and then make those changes. Because nerfing Master E just because low elo players are having a lot of success with it simply doesn't make any sense, because sooner or later they will realize this champion is really, really bad. And then nerfing a champion that's already bad will completely kill this champion, because now the high elo players already don't want to pick this champion, and now you make it absolutely sure that they're never going to pick this champion, right? And for low elo players, they will realize it sooner, and then they will realize this champion is just kind of garbage, and they will stop picking it, and the champion just become completely dead. Compared to before, where it still could have been used in low elo. People still could have fun in low elo with this champion. I mean, which one would you choose, right? I'd rather still have the option to play the champion in low elo, if you know what I mean. Another criteria that I would emphasize to balance a champion should really be the champion pick rate in high elo. Basically, this champion is being abused a lot. try to analyze why is champion being abused this much, right? Ask the coalition of the pro players, hey, why are you guys abusing this Lee Sin? Why are you guys abusing Galio or some other champions, so on and so forth? When a champion is picked a lot among the competitive scene or just high tier players, there has to be a reason for it. And you have to ask those players why, instead of just saying, okay, this being picked a lot, so let's nerf it, but we don't know why it's strong. So let's just kind of nerf certain aspects of it. Because that way, a truly balanced game should have all the champions or most of the champions have a chance to show up, at least in the competitive scene, right? When are we going to see more of Master E's showing up in competitive scenes? How do we make that happen? Or is that even possible? Or some champions are just that bad that we'll have to leave it out. Or are we going to see Nasus in competitive scene? The point is to get to a point of the game where there are different strategies around different champions, because every single champion is unique and have different win conditions that you can play to. But if you play to them well, you can win the game. You know, it's about execution rather than, you know, this champion just that much better than the other one. And I think the high elo competitions or the high tier MMR games is a much better, much more accurate reflection of those things. Anyways, what do y'all think? Leave a comment down below. Let me know your opinions. And again, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn the bell on to all notification bells. This is your guy, AssassinDave, signing off. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.
Just for the thrill of it, nothing counterfeit with you, just the thrill of it.